afternoon and welcome to JCU Up Close, the program that gives you an opportunity to get to know us better. Each program is devoted to some member of the John Carroll community. Today's host is Kristen Reamer, and her special guest is Scott Gralnick.
Hi, and welcome to JCU Up Close. I'm Kristen Reamer, and I'll be your host today. Our topic this afternoon is entertaining, interesting, but can be frustrating and intimidating. What I am talking about is the world of dating. This subject is very relevant to our college audience because it's something we always talk about. However, we might not be very good at doing it. So here to correct our mistakes is relationship guru Scott Gralnick, who recently completed writing his first book, How to Get a Girl in a 95 Corolla. Welcome, Scott.
Kristen?
I would like to begin by reading a quote from the back of your book, How to Get a Girl in a 95 Corolla, from Daniel Brown, a producer at 9 News this morning. As a single guy, it's refreshing to see someone with such charisma, charm, and confidence talk about landing a date, even if all you have is a ratty old 95 Corolla. As Scott shows, all you need to do is be yourself and be proud of what you have to offer and get that perfect girl. This is the guy's guide, the man's manual everyone should read. Well, before we start talking about dating advice, I'd like to talk a little bit about the writing process for everyone who's considering writing their own book one day. So, as a 23-year-old young guy, what inspired you to write this book?
I was actually 18 years old. I was in Israel doing some traveling. There was 2 guys, really nice guys. One of them was short, stocky, and balding. I know, right? The other gentleman was a little bit taller, long hair, really nice guy. He was in journalism as well. And we were out in Jerusalem, and they were telling me they have a hard time meeting women. I was like, but you 2 have great personalities. You shouldn't have a problem meeting women, So they're like, no, really, we do. I'm like, do you see that girl sitting over there? He's like, yeah. I'm like, this is what I want you. Just trust me, do this, and you'll be able to approach her and talk to her. Like, no, that won't work. That can't happen. I'm like, no, it's that simple. So I told him, he didn't do it, so he's like, you do it then. So I did it. He's like, well, that could have been luck, do it again. So I did it 2 more times in the same evening, and they believed it. The one guy who was in journalism, he says, listen, you should write a book about that. I was like, ha, 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 are you kidding? I'm 18 years old, I'm fresh out of high school, I'm in Israel traveling, having a great time. I'm not going to write a book. So 5 years passed, and that was always in the back of my head. And then I would always play around with the idea of, I have this beat-up old car, and, I always have a girlfriend at the time, and it always seemed to work out.
Wow.
So one day, I made it happen.
That's interesting. So are you the guy who all your friends to come for a relationship advice?
More women come to me with asking questions more than men. I think men are a bit prideful, and they have a hard time talking about it. My closest friends come to me that are men because they know what can happen.
So how long did it take you to write this book?
Well, like I said, it was in my head for 5 years, but to put it on paper, it took me 5 to 8 hours a day for 3 months straight. I would sit down most of the time at a coffee shop, sit down, think in my head of different situations. If I wanted to really get involved in the image of what I was thinking, I would then go to the location, whether being outdoors, I would go to a mall, I would go wherever I had to do to think of the location, walk around, imagine in my mind how I would do that, or how the other person should approach the situation.
So you do a lot of people watching?
Yeah, I observe. For psychology, communications, it's more anthropology, where I'm not making any opinions, I'm just taking pure references and inferences off the situation.
Oh, that's interesting. So where did you learn or acquire these skills to write almost a 200-page book?
I really wouldn't call them skills. Anyone in the world who knows about a topic can then relay it through a conversation. And if they sit down and organize their ideas and just start writing, it's speaking. It's the word of mouth, putting on paper.
Interesting. So when it comes to getting your book published and gaining the attention of the media for your book, you quote Earl Nightingale about conformity, stating that 95% of the population conforms to the ways of a system, and the remaining 5% are the ones who are successful by making their own way and doing their own thing. So explain why you fall into this 5% of gaining media attention.
Most people who write books have been formally trained through college, through high school, and that's something they've wanted to do their whole life. So they have the idea in their mind that they have to write a manuscript, they have to get a literary agent, and then to mail their manuscript to a multitude of publishers. I thought to myself, what's a way I can get the attention of publishers and agents without having to go to that trouble? So I said, I'm going to get the media to back me. I'm going to get a hold of the press, the media, all, from radio to TV, papers, anything I could to get the attention of the publishers. So I started contacting everyone. One person led to another. I got on a few TV shows, then some radio, then some magazines. I believe this January they're doing a story in the Cleveland magazine coming up. So
it already came out.
That by getting the attention of the media, I have now offers coming to me because of that, opposed to going the other route.
Well, that's very interesting. Well, hold that thought. When we come back, we're going to dive into some dating advice from Scott Gralnick, author of How to Get a Girl in a 95 Corolla.
So Nellie had to put like a little commercial in there.
So why do so many people continue not to wear them?
So during the commercial,
some people
Kristen and I were just cracking up about the interview.
I wonder if they ever considered how
And
convenient nature is.
so you'll see the rest of it in a
Seatbelts are
second.
the best way to ensure that you'll get to see next Christmas and your friend's birthday.
But remember to wear your
Plus many
seatbelts.
other wonderful things. Wearing your seatbelt is like buying car insurance. You hope you never need it, but it's sure nice to have when something happens.
All right. Back to the interview.
Welcome back. Scott, before we went to the short commercial break, we were talking about the writing process of your book. But now I'd like to dive into the contents of your book and share with the viewers a little bit of dating advice. So, what would you say the overriding problem is in how men meet women?
That's easy. It's the lack of the approach. The men are too scared. They don't know what to say. They think that to be, come off with some pickup line. They don't understand by being sincere themselves, just approaching the woman with something very, I talk about the hidden language that all people give off. From everyone in this room, which you can see there's a multitude of people, if you look at what they're wearing, if you look at their necklace, if you look at their earrings, everything about them, it's their style. They're saying something about who they are. Their hair color, their haircut, everything about them tells about where they come from, who they are. So if you could take this information and then have something very clever and sincere to say when approaching them, I teach the men will always have something to say, and then using the surroundings at the same time. So really it's just a lack of the approach when talking to women.
Gotcha. And in your book you address many examples and scenarios about where men should meet women. So can you elaborate on this?
Sure. Again, it's a very holistic approach for men. If a man wants to meet a woman, I tell him first, I ask him, what are his interests? If the person likes to play sports, okay, go play sports. Join some co-ed teams. Meet women doing that. If you join skiing, go skiing a lot. Just do what you enjoy doing, but be more aware of your surroundings. Don't go to a place just to go meet women just because you're told to do that. It comes off very fake, pretentious. It's better to be yourself and be in a location where you feel comfortable and you're with yourself.
Gotcha. Well, on the flip side of that, you discuss that meeting women in bars is a big no-no because of something called an irritable level syndrome.
That's correct.
And I know that's pretty popular for college students. We tend to go to frequent bars a lot. So could you explain this a little bit?
Well, the irritable level syndrome is based off of media and pop culture and society. So women in the back of their minds already have the idea that if they go to a bar, they're going to get hit on a lot. So they know when they go there, okay, how many guys are going to hit on me tonight? There's a few types of women that are going to be at a bar. The type of girl that's with their girlfriends just to have a girlfriend time. It's all girls night. There's going to be a type of girl who likes to go tease guys to get free drinks, or just have fun with their girlfriends again and just tease men. The other type of girl is going out with no idea what's going to happen. They're up for anything. But again, they have in their mind, from media, that they're going to be approached. So when a man goes to approach the woman, he has to overcome that wall. That how many men have already talked to her, and why add difficulties to the situation?
Right. Well, that makes sense. Just last question. You've been featured on Channel 19, Metro Mix Cleveland, and That's Life. What can we expect to see of the book in the future?
I have 4 more books planned. The next one is called Get Inside the Mind of the man who wrote How to Get a Girl in a 95 Corolla. You know, when I wrote this book, I was 23, so people are going to want to know where I came from, my mentality, and where I gained this knowledge.
Well, that's interesting. I'm sure our audience would love to hear more, and you can definitely go to scottgralnick.com if you'd like to learn more about the book. That concludes our program today. I'm Kristen Reamer, and thank you for watching JCU Up Close.
And that was that interview. Very good. Enjoy.